That day, down to Stockton for my San Joaquin JPA meeting. Good afternoon. Welcome to the July 22nd, 2024 meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit Board of Directors. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Director Brewer?
Here.
Director Budge?
Here.
Director Daniels?
Here.
Director Hume?
Here.
Director Jennings is absent. Director Kaplan?
Here.
Director Kozlowski is absent. Director Maple?
Here.
Director Cerna is absent. Director Singh Allen is absent. Director Vang is absent. And Chair Kennedy.
Here.
With that, we have a quorum of 7 votes. eight votes. Director Kozlowski just arrived. And this meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit District will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel, and the Comcast and AT&T UVerse cable systems. This meeting is closed captioned and webcast at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Thursday, July 25th at 12 p.m. and Sunday, July 28th at 1 p.m. on Channel 14. This meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker card located at the rear of the room and provide it to myself or Adam. Once the item has been called, additional speaker cards will not be accepted. The time allowed for public comment is at the chair's discretion. The timer will chime when you have 20 seconds remaining and then again when your time is up.
Thank you very much. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, that takes us to our consent calendar. Is there, and that's items 2.1 to 2.7. Is there any member of the board that would like to have something removed from consent or comment?
I'll move consent.
Second.
Okay, I have no cards. Is there any member of the public that would like to address the board on consent at this time? Seeing none, we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right. Next item, please.
Can you confirm that was Maple and Kozlowski?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. The next item is public addresses the board on matters not on the agenda, and we did have one written public comment submitted for item number 6. And staff has responded to K-Crum's concern regarding the frequency of Route 81. And Jeffrey Tartagia submitted a written comment, but he's here to speak in person.
Okay, thank you. So first we'll go with Helen O'Connell.
Hello, board.
Hello.
I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you're willing to hear the public. I'm Helen O'Connell, and I am here as a public person, not representing any organizations. I had the opportunity to have input on the S700 low floor car design before they were manufactured. I, at that time, expressed concern that the schematics had a place for a call strip that I didn't think was placed in a accessible spot. When they came out with the first car, they showed it to a group of people, of which I'm a member, and the call strip was not there. And I asked questions on how do I let somebody know that I need to get off? And they said, oh, you can push the buttons on the door. I said, so I need to move from where I am in the ADA access spot while the train is going and push the button that is away from me. They said, yes. I said, I don't think that's safe. So the next train that they had a call strip on the side under the seat. But if you're located in the ADA seating area, you can't reach down this way because there's a grab bar and the strip is underneath the grab bar. I then attempted to reach it from the front and push it from the front. I was unable to do so. I am very concerned about this because I would like to be able to access the train independently. And unfortunately, for some people that are a little more disabled and don't have the range of motion, they wouldn't be able to do that. I had a friend that said, my solution is to have someone help me. And I said, that's fine for you,
Right.
but that negates being independent and operating it independently. So I thought I would bring that to the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Helen. And Henry, I assume that we are constantly providing feedback to Siemens as we go through the process of design. Okay, thank you. Robert Copeland?
Well, I want to speak about the Kids Right Free program. This program RT has, the Sacramento City Council, all the other entities that are help funded this year. I'm part of ACE. We want to have fun in as long as we have RT, tell you the truth. Because children right now, students, a lot of them are going to write RT buses when they're adults. That's going to take a lot of greenhouse gases off this air. I don't understand why it was on this chopping block for Sacramento City Council. The person I want to talk to is not here. It's not on the board, Mayor Steinberg. Also, ACES has 5 chapters in California. Sacramento is the only chapter that has a transportation committee. LA doesn't have a transportation committee. San Diego, I guess they got better transportation than we do. And also, why don't you have more public outreach? It should not be up to ACE and the other trained organizations to fight for public training. You should do your job too. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Jeffrey Tardigia?
Board, I've given you a written comment. I hope you have read it. I hope it invites you to come up with some questions that really seriously need to be answered. Henry has asked me to be more strategic. So strategic-wise, I'm going to offer the comment, do you believe that the 33 that you've had more than 10 years to plan for, will provide for the 250 people that are residing in the Dos Rios right now? There's going to be 450 people in there, and I don't believe only Monday through Friday to provide rides is sufficient. I really believe that you need for the weekends, and you approved, or Mac approved on Thursday, a letter that's dealing with the funding for related to the next Blue Line and the improvement through there. I really believe, based upon the mess that you had on a couple of the Gold Line, most notably 65th, it is such a contraption to try and get around, and what needs to happen for the 82 and the 87 is some additional time needs to be allocated in there on that. There's a bunch of other things that I've talked about in there, but I also want to compliment and say that going to the MAC meetings and hearing how more staff are in there listening about what's going on and having some dialogue going on through there is, I think, very helpful. I participate with other rider groups across the country, and they do not have that access or resource or anything in there. It's a very valuable, very important. But what Henry has done is provide the means of communication. And I will use the example of Friday, I listened in on a conversation for the transit rider for downtown. And for an hour, they were talking to telling somebody, we don't have a ride for you. We don't have a ride for you. Finally, after 6:10, somebody else, a male voice came in and said, You could take the 11 to get up to Richards Boulevard, and that's how finally he got up there after an hour. I believe Jamie is getting that corrected because it should have been instructions, because apparently the app does allow out there, through trip planning, allow there's other options to go through and do. But
Can you wrap up, Jeffrey?
I will, but I will say to you is this, board, do you know what's going on with the 30,000 disability riders? Really, you need to see what's going on and happening with them, and I don't seem like the board knows this. That's
Thank you.
right now.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Dan Ellison.
Good afternoon. Dan Allison, representing Sacramento Transit Advocates and Riders. I attended the last online MAC meeting, and I was pretty disappointed. Staff was like, we're listening to you, but we're not going to change anything at all. We've already made all those decisions again and again. That kind of thing was said. Bicycles came up at the May meeting. Staff is claiming that there's no change to bicycle capacity because there's 4 hooks in the current cars. There's space for 4 bicycles, but there's actually space for 12 bicycles per car in the current cars, and there will only be 4. I want to particularly quote, passengers must stand with their bike. An hour trip from Sac Valley Station to Folsom, standing with your bike, even if you're not using your bike as a mobility device, that's unreasonable. That's crazy. Next thing is barriers between cars. Muni in San Francisco uses barriers between the cars. Metro uses platform barriers. SAC-RT doesn't think they're important. Why? Don't know. Seat height. The question was brought up about varying seat heights, and staff said, well, they meet APTA requirements. And a member of the MAC said, can you reference those requirements? And the staff person said, well, it's complicated. No, we can't really. And I want to support what Helen and others have said about the activation strips. They're not accessible. Staff has stonewalled it, saying it works other places, it must going to be working here. I watched Helen and other disabled people trying to access that strip in the car. It was not possible, and the idea of asking a person in a wheelchair to move towards the door before the stop, that's unsafe. I'm very disappointed in staff's reactions to necessary changes to the new cars. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. All right, next item is the General Manager's Report 8.1. Mr. Lee.
Good afternoon. Thanks for the feedback from our public. We will take a look at that. Seriously, okay. There are lots of updates to share with the public and the board since our last meeting, so I will be quick. As everyone knows, we recently experienced a record-breaking hot waves within the 12 days of this month, and average temperature reaching over 107 degrees. Understanding the risks the extreme heat poses on so many in our community, SAC-RT has been busy to ensure community members have access to cooling centers countywide, and thanks to some board members like Katie Maple, and we were able to change our message with the unhoused communities quickly to allow them to ride free without restrictions. We began operating free rides for all of triple-digit temperatures. We also worked with County Office of Emergency Service and the Metro Fire when a power outage impacted nearly 200 mobile homes along Auburn Boulevard. We were able to help residents access AC in our buses and transportation to alternative sleeping arrangement. Then, next slide. At the end of last month, Director Mike Kozlowski, Chris, and myself had the privilege of participating in the U.S. Transportation Infrastructure Summit by delivering a primary panel presentation. The 3-day summit included representatives from governments, transit authorities, private developers, and financial institutions, cross-relation and also internationally. The focus of the event is how public-private partnership can help deliver important infrastructure projects across the nation. Director Kozlowski moderates our panel very well. Our panel titled The Rise of Transit-Oriented Development, where we highlighted some of the recent housing projects in our region with private developers. Now on to the next topic. Earlier this month, we had the opportunity to meet with Congressman Kiley to update him on SACRT's initiatives and funding requests. The congressman used to take light rail every day for school and work. He spent nearly an hour listening and also making comments, great comments to SACRT's priorities. And he sits on the U.S. House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and also in the most recent version of T-HOP bill. And he has maintained or submitted a $3 million community project funding requests for our light rail modernization program. Following the meeting, the congressman shared this picture and a note with his congressional newsletter recipients, which is a great note. Then 2 weeks ago, SACRT staff had the pleasure of hosting Power Comfort, the host of the Transit podcast and Transit Unplugged TV. The TV and his podcast is the #1 program in the transit industry globally. The visit aimed to highlight SACRT's innovative services and its connectivity to regional arts, music, and food scene. During the 2-day podcast and video shoot, the TV crew captured energy and commitment that drive our daily operations, showcasing why SACRT is a leader in public transportation across the nation. Thanks to Chair Kennedy, Vice Chair Jennings, and Director Kozlowski for joining us during portions of the video shoot. And the video blog is expected to be released sometime in September, and we will be shared with everybody. Then last Thursday, we held the groundbreaking event for our latest capital project, the Wat IAT Transit Center Improvement Project, a $26 million investment in our busiest transit hub in this disadvantaged community. We were fortunate to be joined by Congressman Army Bell, Congressman Kevin Kiley, State Senator Roger Liero, Chair Kennedy, and Director Kaplan as we celebrate this significant milestone and positive impact these improvements will have on this disadvantaged community. The project includes widening the Watt Avenue Bridge, building an open-air stairwell linking Watt Avenue and the transit center, developing a new bus and pedestrian plaza, and upgrading IAT highway on-ramps to our station, and enhancing the portion of the transit center located beneath the Watt Avenue Bridge. In addition to the $26 million investment this time, SACAT has already invested significant amount of other funds to replace the elevators at the stations and other improvements recently. We also want to thank the Federal Transit Administration, including Region 9 Deputy Administrator Amy Chen, for joining us at the press conference and spending the rest of the day with the SACAT team. We discussed lots of ongoing and future projects and got lots of good oversight ideas and also the funding support commitment. Then it is important to really provide or to have in-person updates with our FTA. As earlier this month, FTA awarded SACAT nearly $77 million from the Laurel Grant bus emission program. This award is the third largest in the nation, with only LA Metro and New Jersey State Transit receiving higher award. We got 4 awards. We asked for $77 million and we got $77 million. That is unprecedented. This funding will allow us to leverage other $24 million grants from various other sources to make a total $102 million investment to purchase new hydrogen fuel cell buses to replace our older fleet. That means we have to build the first hydrogen station in this region in our BFM2 while we are modernizing the BFM2 facility, and launch a new workforce development program, transition the bus fleet serving northern Sacramento communities to ZEBs by 2028. That is a very exciting vision and a feasible goal we can reach. I really wanted to thank SACAT board members, 6 of our board members who joined us for FTA meeting. We set up in April in Capital Cap, DC trip. And we bragged about, some board members bragged about, the #1 project for that trip was the Southeast Connector, and got $25 million award, and with probably over 100 meetings. And it took us 30 minutes meeting to get this funding. Not just joke and just say, this is how persuasive our board members when they met with FTA leadership team. Certainly, I want to thank our grant team on a tremendous application that certainly is deserving of these funds. We will be planning a press conference, and Congressman Army Barrow, suggest us and to have a great, press conference, but we cannot find a neutral time right now. So we're going to find a time to share more details on the project, and would really appreciate our board members to attend this type of press conference. And we do have a lot of major press conference set up for September 3rd, because 3 congressional reps will be able to join us. We got a confirmation from them for our light rail, new light rail service on Green and Gold lines, the opening of our new service, which will be in the township light rail station. But we will send the detailed information to the board later on. Then I want to share, last week, Governor Newsom signed both of SACAT's sponsored legislations, and really appreciate Assemblymember Kevin McCarthy for championing AB 2634, which gives us flexibility to implement additional discount for super seniors. But just give us like a 2 or 3 years pilot time to do that. Then thanks to Assembly Member Stephanie Wen, who sponsored AB 1924, which will make changes to our service boundaries and the composition. And both legislations passed the legislature unanimously and are effective on January 1st next year. Then the last slide, okay. I know you recognize that gentleman. Last Friday, SACRT team had the pleasure of joining Supervisor Pat Hume on his State of the County annual launching event. Director Hume shared lots of great projects he has been leading and also praised our recent FTA's award. Thank you. And this concludes my report. Please stay cool in these hot days.
Thank you, Henry. Director Maple.
Thank you, Chair. A lot of really exciting updates. So just want to congratulate you and the entire team for all your hard work and getting this money, meeting with representatives from across the region and just making all of it happen. But just really wanted to punch up and especially thank you for your fast work in addressing getting folks into the cooling centers. I know there was some confusion from folks, some activity online and emails we had received from individuals that they weren't sure if they were able to get on without a flyer, if their flyer was expired, and just really want to appreciate you for the quick action to communicate out that, even without a flyer, that we were able to get folks to the cooling centers. It's really, really important, especially when we have these over 100-degree days, multiple days in a row, that folks can get there. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Director. Anyone else? Okay, Coco Cocozella.
Hey, Coco Cocozella, a member of the STAR Action Team, Sacramento Transit Advocates and Riders. What I'll speak about, we haven't provided a position statement, so I'm speaking my ideas here tonight. Couple of questions. Again, some of this stuff may already have been communicated, so apologies if I'm asking redundant stuff. One general thing, I noticed on the GM report specific projects called out. My question would be, where can a citizen, find information on the status of the kind of global capital project list that's provided, in the budget document? So that's a question. I'd be interested in that. So you might see a flavor of some of my recent comments related to how can I find information. As a citizen, correctly or incorrectly, I consider myself as part of the oversight of an agency, so it's really helpful to have information like that. Couple of specific questions about the hydrogen fueled fuel cell buses. For instance, what was the criteria for the decision to go with fuel cell versus upgrading electric batteries type buses? How many electric battery buses does SACRT have now? Theoretically, could the grant money have been used to upgrade the current electric battery buses? And finally, what is the initial cost to SACRT, notwithstanding the grants? And maybe that was on the budget. I just didn't see it. So thank you.
Thank you. Henry, is there an appropriate staff person to follow up with Ms. Coca-Gazal?
Yeah, we will.
Okay, thank you. Next item is reports, ideas, and questions from directors and communications. 9.1, first is the Capital Corridor Joint Powers Authority meeting summary. Director Maple, do you have anything to add to the written statement?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. And I believe Director Kozlowski?
Yeah, I was reminded, talking about capital projects, I just wanted to thank the facilities and construction staff who've been working on the double track project in Folsom to get us 15-minute service. It has taken a little bit longer, but partly for being careful. We have a lot of neighbors in Folsom that are super sensitive to the tree canopy that runs adjacent to the railroad tracks. And in the process of trying to protect as many trees, we've had to go back a couple of times as we've identified ones that overhung a little bit too close. And I wanted to thank everybody at RT for being super sensitive to that topic and doing a great job getting that project across the finish line. And then I wanted to double down on a couple of things Henry brought up in his director's report. At that infrastructure summit that we had, one of the takeaways that I got from it is that RT is way out in front in many ways as it relates to residential transit-oriented development. A lot of people were there at our talk because they wanted to get a better feel for how to assemble public-private partnership teams like that. And the teams that we have participated with and helped us do that presentation were also pointing out that RT is way ahead. So for those of you that are super fans of RT, we're doing a great job on that account. And then we have a really, really good congressional delegation right now for transportation. And Congressman Kiley and Barra and Mrs. Matsui are doing a fantastic job getting us funding for things. And I just wanted to say thank you to the three of them right now. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Director. Jeffrey Tartagia, you have a comment on the CCJPA?
Principally, what I want to encourage Ms. Maples or Hughes, when you go to that, is there something further developing on the third rail to go up to Roseville and other things? Right now, the way you turn reports in, have no idea if there's any highlights through what's going on. And I would just like to encourage that be part of your public report. So, no, if something has physically changed and gone on, and I agree with you that on Omnibera, that was 5 years ago, with other things that I got him to make the commitment for transportation and infrastructure. And he said, I can work across the boundaries to get that done. And we're seeing the fruits of that now.
Great. Thank you very much, Jeffrey. Before I go away, anybody else? Nope. All right. I believe that takes us to our end of our meeting. We're adjourned.